It's so nice to see so many people I've worked with throughout the years or been in meetings with or held their hands and whispered, we got to do something about this business, you guys. What are we going to do? We're going to need to scroll up because I'm just skipping over everything. But the fact that I have so many friends here is amazing. And the fact that my family is here, my daughter and my son, it meant so much to me. I called them and I was like, you guys just have to show up. I'm too nervous to do this without you. And my incredible husband, who is so supportive, and also a very proud LMU grad, and one of the trustees, so Stephen Galloway. That's your guy. He can organize you guys. And Debbie Martinez, if you need any help, we are here for you as a family to help these women who truly deserve all the support that they will receive. Thank you so much to the Hollywood Reporter for this honor and this gorgeous event, and to Lifetime. And what an incredible crowd. Oh my gosh, there's so many extraordinary people here and so much brain power and people who are listening very intently. But I do want to say it's important to acknowledge the men here today, because none of the empowerment of women works without you. And to John Legend, who always lifts up women and is always such a strong advocate for women, thank you so much for speaking up and speaking out. And Ronan Farrow, who I have communicated my thanks so often to him for exposing these stories that have changed our culture. So thank you. You are amazing. You use your voice in such a powerful way. So when I was thinking about today, I was thinking about what I wanted to say, and I was a little bit nervous, and mostly I was overwhelmed with this huge honor of it all, but also the pressure of really wanting to knock it out of the park for you guys. So I just kept telling myself, even if you blow it, it's, in front of all these women, there's breakfast, because breakfast is one of my favorite meals. And I was like, at least there would be coffee. So there is coffee, which is great, and biscuits, y'all. It's like they knew I was coming. I really, really love coffee. My kids say that I sometimes love coffee more than them. But so at least there'll be that. So here we are. I am so humbled to find out that I would be the recipient of the Sherry Lansing Leadership Award. There are just so many things in that sentence that just blow my mind. The first is that I get to be associated with Sherry Lansing, who is such a hero of mine and the quintessential powerhouse in a power suit. Long ago, she proved that women can be leaders in this business, bursting through the door of Hollywood's C-suite with dignity and class and intelligence, which could not have been easy with those shoulder pads and that was hard, But when I was just thinking as I was writing this speech, the conversations she must have heard, the bias she encountered on a daily basis. Everything you just said about me, I echo back to you in double. I'm in awe of your achievements, and I am so proud to be here, standing in the path that you created for all of us. So thank you. The second thing that blows my mind about this award is the word leadership, but I'm going to come back to that in a minute. I wish I could have told my 22-year-old self that I'd be standing here one day. Being recognized by people I profoundly admire for my small contribution to our world. But this is who I was at 22. I had just made a movie called Election. And it had come out, and we had pretty good reviews, but I was pregnant, and I was 22, and I had a beautiful baby girl who's sitting right here right now, which is also a whole other speech. And even though the film was really well reviewed, my salary wasn't much to speak of. So basically, I was a new mom, and I was broke, and I needed to get back to work. So I was hustling for a job, and I was auditioning all over the place, and I found that all the scripts that I really loved were at this one particular studio. And I would always get to the last round of callbacks, and the director wanted to hire me, but the studio wouldn't hire me. So I couldn't figure it out, and I finally called my agent, and I said, why do I keep getting vetoed at the studio? And he said, oh, here's the thing. That exec thinks you are Tracy Flick. He thinks you're a shrew. A shrew? I'll never forget that he used the word shrew because it sounded Shakespearean and important. So by the way, the definition of the word shrew as it pertains to a woman is technically a woman of violent temper and speech, which nowadays I understand sort of to be a woman who speaks her mind and raises her voice against the system, which underestimates her. So I would like to just say thank you. I am a shrew. Does anyone else feel like maybe they're a shrew? Can I see a rise of hands? Yes, thank you. I knew I liked you people. But back to the story. Okay, my agent got me the meeting with that executive who didn't like me. And he said something to the effect of, okay, well, don't be too intimidating and don't be too smart and don't use a bunch of SAT words. Just be cool and wear something cute like a leather skirt or something. Now, y'all, I am not cool. Okay, and I didn't own any leather skirts because I'm not like exactly like a leather skirt kind of girl. Just ask my kids. I don't have edge. I'm just not edgy. But I accept that. So I was annoyed but resolute, and I really wanted a job. So I went and bought a leather skirt. And I got all dressed up, and I went to the studio walking in my leather skirt and into the meeting, and the executive asked me, he was like, well, what do you want out of your career? And my 22-year-old self told him that I wanted to give funny and dramatic performances, and I wanted to deliver smart dialogue and create fascinating characters like my idols, Holly Hunter and Sigourney Weaver and Meryl Streep. And he turned to me and said, well, not that many women get to be the lead in movies, and also Meryl Streep is completely over. I'm not even kidding. I cannot, this actually happened to me in real life. And I don't remember what I said to him because I just sort of went blank and just started nodding. But if I could go back in time and talk to my 20-year-old self, this is what I'd tell her to say. First of all, sir, I am not actually Tracy Flick. That's a character I played in a movie, so that's how acting works. Yeah. And one day in December of 2019, I will be sitting in a room at Milk Studios with so many women who are leading our industry by producing and creating films and television and shows on every platform for millions of people who really want to see better stories about women on film. There will be so many of us, you won't be able to write us off. And also, you don't ever get to talk about Meryl Streep like that. Okay? Ever. And for those of you wondering, this executive left the studio shortly after, and I haven't seen or heard of him since. However, earlier this year, I had the distinct privilege of working with Miss Meryl Streep, and it turns out Meryl is doing just fine. She's actually doing great. Really good. The rest of my early career began to unfold in a way that I am profoundly proud of. But I have to say certain aspects of it still frustrate me. When I was 25, I started a production company at a movie studio that made exactly one movie in 5 years. And I walked away from that experience with a real feeling of defeat, that I was trying to work inside a system that was not built for me to succeed. So a decade later, after experiencing many professional ups and downs, being condescended to and literally patted on the head at times, which happens to be a hazard when you're a short person. But no, after a decade, I was ready to try my hand at producing again. I mean, I had made around 40 movies by then, and I had read countless scripts about buffoonish men and token female characters who were solely defined by their romantic relationships with those men. Enough was enough. So I decided to go on a meeting tour of all the studios to ask how many movies were being developed for women. And the answers were grim. Of all the 7 major studios, the answer was 1 studio. 1 movie was being made with a female lead out of 140 movies. As I was told by a studio head at the time, well, we already have 1 movie starring a woman this year. We can't make 2. Can you guess the year this was? It was 2011, not 1911, 2011. So against all the advice I'd ever received in the movie business, like you should save for retirement in your 40s because you're not going to work very much and never spend your own money in the movie business, I decided to invest in myself by self-funding a production company. I recognized that I was privileged enough to have made enough money as a working actress to support this crazy venture, but I was also brave and perhaps naive enough to believe that I could actually pull it off. So I got to work. I read a ton of books, and I prayed that it would all work out. And I just kept putting money into my company and showing up and betting on myself because I am my own best lottery ticket. And now, in my 40s, I'm working more than I ever have, and I'm making more money than I ever have. And that's not to brag. That is just to illuminate how much our business has really changed. And it's changed because of women like my fellow Sherry Lansing Leadership Award honorees, Viola Davis, Tina Fey, Shonda Rhimes, Jane Fonda, Oprah Winfrey, and the magnificent Meryl Streep. They have continuously worked to broaden and expand the path that Sherry paved for all of us. And the examples of marvelous women like these have taught me really important things about female leadership. That it's not about ego or getting to the top. It's about creating a community of people who are extraordinary at what they do and working together towards a common goal. So that's what I love about my company, Hello Sunshine. Hello, table. Are you 24? Table 24. Everybody at this company shares leadership responsibility, and together we keep the trains running on time. Producing brings me incredible joy, and the bell really tolled for me this year as an actress, too, getting to shoot 3 of the most fulfilling projects of my career, surrounded by incredible men and women, all telling stories with women at the center, not just being the best friend. And I got to experience it with the likes of my extraordinary pal and partner and the very tall person, Nicole Kidman. People like my real-life friend, Jennifer Aniston, and the phenomenally spoken and gracious-hearted Kerry Washington. Actually, you can see Kerry together and I on screen very soon, March on Hulu 2020. Sorry, guys, I'm a producer. I had to say that. I really wish I could have told my 22-year-old self that this is what I would be doing right now. I could have saved myself the expense of that leather skirt. And then this is the part that really kind of blows my mind about this award is the word leadership, because leaders go first. Leaders pave a path for people to follow, and leaders lead. And for the first part of my career, that's not what I did. I was definitely a follower. I walked in a path that had been hard-won and nicely paved by actual leaders. But as I walked in that path, I got to act in so many films, and I'm deeply proud of that experience that I had. But the second half of my career, when I started producing projects like Gone Girl and Wild and Big Little Lies became successful, I started to realize, I think I know how to do this. It literally took me that long to figure out, I think I know how to do this. And I recognized the inherent privilege that I have simply by being a white woman in this industry, and how hard as it was for me at times, it is incalculably harder for so many others, like my African American colleagues, my Latina colleagues, my LGBTQ colleagues, and my differently abled colleagues. The path is still too narrow for so many people. And as more and more women are needed and wanted and deserve to walk down the path, it was clear that that path needed to expand in so many directions and be much more inclusive. Somebody needed to do something. When I became involved in the Time's Up movement, 2 things happened. I found myself in rooms with other phenomenal women who I had been siloed off from most of my career. I was always the only actress on a movie set, sometimes the only woman out of 150 people. So I never really got a chance to meet my colleagues or work with them or talk or hear their stories. And when we got together, it was revelatory. These women weren't, enemies or rivals, or they were my colleagues and peers and allies. And the second thing that I heard was stories that other women had of harassment and discrimination that sounded a lot like my own experiences I had as a young woman in this industry. This is happening, and although it was horrifying, I finally felt like I wasn't alone. there was a community of women, and we were all there for each other, and we were finally talking, and that is a very powerful thing. I remember at one meeting, I was sitting next to the incomparable Shonda Rhimes, that notorious underachiever. And after the meeting was over, I turned to Shonda and I said, well, these stories are awful. We have to do something. We have to change this business. Someone has to do something. And I will never forget, Shonda turned to me and said, you're gonna do it. And I said, hold on, Shonda, I can't, but hold on, I was not gonna tell Shonda Rhimes no. Because Shonda has affected more change in our industry in one season of television than most people do in a decade. And also, I don't talk to Shonda Rhimes like that. You just do whatever she tells you to do. I truly didn't think of myself as a leader. And to be honest, I wasn't sure I was a leader until Shonda said that about me. It seemed really like a scary job for somebody with a power suit and kick-ass shoulder pads. But what changed for me in that moment was the realization that even if you don't think of yourself as a capable leader, if somebody else does, it just might work. People like Shonda believed in me. People like Ava DuVernay, my Time's Up sisters, Natalie Portman, America Ferrara, Eva Longoria. They believed in me. People like Carrie and Jennifer and Laura Dern and Zoe Kravitz. My colleagues, some of whom are here at HBO, Hulu, Netflix, Amazon, Sony, and Apple, they all believed in me. Leather skirt not required, thank goodness. The encouragement I feel from a community like this cannot be put into words. I'm just so deeply grateful, and I promise you, I will always be working to do more for all of us in this business. And we get to redefine what does it mean to be a leader in this business? What does it mean to be a female leader if the world is shifting a little bit and we are feeling culture change? I don't think we really know because we haven't truly seen it yet, but it's happening every day, every minute. And to our 40 mentees here today, as you embark on your extraordinary journey into the world, please remember this about leadership. A lot of people can recognize a problem and admire it and look at it and complain about it, but not everybody will do something about it. Leaders are really doers. So even if you don't think of yourself as a leader, or you're hesitant, or you're hypnotized by a voice in your head that says you can't, too bad. Do it anyway. We need you. Be the first person to say hi, send the first email, break the silence in a room, ask the first question, embrace your inner shrew, and do something. I stand here truly humbled to be with you all. It says it's for leadership, but I stand here knowing that it's about partnership, and I wouldn't be here without all of you. So make a friend, share a biscuit, share a business idea, share your email. I can't wait to applaud and witness what all my powerful sisters will accomplish in the future. Thank you so much.